Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Dychronic, your host here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be showing you where the ZERS, his random rolls, inventory, and all my recommendations for May 15th, 2020. You can find him in his regular location on Io, so head over to the Giant Scar and make your way into this cave, and he can be found right here at the end of this cave. This is a high overview of everything that he does have available in case this is all you cared about. Moving on to the weapon, we have the D.A.R.C. Sniper Rifle. Now this is actually a very special weapon. I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. Its intrinsic trait, Personal Assistant, aim at an enemy to see its critical information and health in your scope, and it also highlights the enemy with a certain colored outline around it. The default skin highlights that target in red. The other ones highlight in orange and green and some other different colors. My recommendation is just leave it on the default ornament because red is the easiest outline to distinguish. Now why that's important is going to be target acquired. This trait, when personal system is active, which means the outline is around the target, you get better target acquisition and deal significantly more damage. So aim in at a target for like half a second, it gets that outline, and then you do 4 times critical damage. Now I know this from experience that it's 4 times because when they buff this thing, it is actually kind of crazy. Now combine that with the fastest fire rate that a sniper rifle can have, and this thing is actually near the top 5 DPSs in the game, which is why this thing is actually very, very important to have. If you don't have things like the Whisper of the Worm with the catalyst, or the Sleeper with the catalyst, or the special firing line in the sand, or any of these special top dog things, this is a great weapon because first of all, it is one of the highest DPSs in the game, nearly top 5, and you do not need a catalyst for it. The catalyst does help by increasing your stability up to maximum, but it is not necessary for DPS. So if you need a DPS weapon and you don't have a lot of the top dogs, this is a good option. Not an amazing option, but definitely a good option. And something I wanted to mention that somebody mentioned in my comments, shout out to them, I forgot their name, but what they mentioned is that the stat rolls and the affinity for all of the armor that the ZERS sells is exactly the same as the one you get for collection. So if you have ever gotten any one of these exotics before, it is not important to get it from the ZERS because you can just get it from your collection. So for example, you see the 6 Coyote here, it's 11, 7, 7, 10, 6, 6. You then go to collections and you see again 11, 7, 7, 10, 6, 6. This actually changes things quite a bit because I thought that they would slightly change these rolls, but apparently these are just the collection rolls. So if you already have them, there's no reason to look at the ZERS for them. So I'm going to try to be a bit more brief with these random roll recommendations and analysis because they are pretty common. However, I do know that there are people that don't have every exotic. Starting up with the Hunter exotic, we have the 6 Coyote. What it does is it gives you a second dodge charge. My personal opinion, this kind of sucks. There are a couple of different builds that are dependent on getting dodge for some reason, for getting your melee back, or just being able to get health or some type of benefit, but I've never really found that much benefit. And even if it said another grenade charge, which there are exotics that do that, I'm not a fan. I personally prefer things like faster generation, more damage, stuff like that, and this is just not something I'm a fan of. As far as the roll goes, primary mobility, perfect for this synergy. Secondary discipline is whatever, so kind of a below average roll for a very below average exotic. For the Titan exotic, we have the Dune Marchers. Linear actuators increase sprint speed. Sprinting builds up a static charge, and after melee attacking enemy, that charge will chain damage to nearby enemies. This is especially powerful in PvP. If you remember back last season, Arc Web with the Warlocks, they had this grenade arc bolt thing where they would hit some targets, and then it would also string energy and lightning between a whole bunch of your teammates like multiple times until you all died. This is kind of what this is like when you go in for the melee, although obviously you have to go in for a melee, which is a lot more dangerous, but it does actually arc pretty far and can actually arc off of dead teammates, which is actually pretty important, and extend and make that hit more times, and does a lot of damage. Definitely my number 2 Titan exotic for PvP. Other than that, I really don't like it because the damage that it deals in PvE is actually pretty minimal, and as you get to the higher level Grandmaster and Master Nightfalls, it does next to nothing, and meleeing is also very dangerous. As far as the roll goes, primary mobility and strength is excellent for this exotic. I would say definitely an above average roll for this above average exotic, which also does have an ornament that makes it a little bit more lights across the thing. Definitely something I would recommend. And finally, for the Warlock, we have the Claws of AHAMKARA. Its main perk here, gain an additional melee charge. Like I said before, I'm not a fan of anything that's just an additional charge of something. I prefer if there was some type of interaction that had a skill-based gameplay where it was like, you get more damage if you do this plus that, and you get bonuses to whatever, or just faster generation. This is really not something that I'm really that much a fan of. As far as the roll goes, resilience is really not that good. Recovery is always good for Warlocks and anybody, honestly. And finally, the strength is obviously a good synergy, so maybe like an averaging roll for, in my opinion, a below average exotic. Outside of that, make sure you're picking up your 5 of Swords if you want high-scoring Nightfalls on the regular Nightfalls. If you want to pick up your Invitation of the Nine for some powerful gear and lore within the Triumph section. And then finally, an Exotic Engram, which is the same as any Exotic Engram that guarantees you an exotic that you do not have from any of the world drops, and it will drop with a high stat roll. So you can see the item that I just got has a 64 stat roll. It has Recovery and Discipline, which is a pretty good roll, although I haven't used Blinked in a long time, and I know this is going to end up killing me. Oh, I just realized what happened here. Oh, whoa. Okay, never mind, I found it. Okay, we're good. Okay, I was about to flip my lid. It was the wrong leg. And that is going to be pretty much it, the end of the Xur video. Just wanted to make a mention that I'll be actually streaming live on Twitch right after this around noon. So come check that out. We're going to be playing some Gears Tactics, a new game. It's a Gears of War plus XCOM, so the XCOM game style with the Gears of War skin, and it has actually been a lot of fun. We get to name characters after people in the stream, make sure that they don't die, and then of course get through the campaign, which I love XCOM. So if you want to check that out, link in the description down below. That's it. Hope you guys did enjoy it. My name's Dychronic, and I will see you guys on the next one. Do I have another super? Oh. Look at that.